I remember there was one that they left it like it was just on the side of the road, and like it was for sale, and like just like
after the race.
No, it was just like a random thing. I called a guy and met him there, like I was interested, and watched how he killed the kill switch and all that stuff. I went back the next day and took it.
Wow.
So.
All right, guys, Garet Mclendon here. You might have the most traffic tickets out of anyone I know, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
160, right?
168. I have a printout of all those tickets, I went to the courthouse and, and it was like, let me get a printout. And it was just like a sheet of paper just like unfolding, like just,
That's hilarious. I'm surprised they didn't arrest you when you went to the courthouse.
Yeah, me too.
Did you ever pay any of them?
I ended up having to pay, I had to pay for all that stuff. Institution, everything that, community service, paying traffic times, doing time for, I had to, because I wanted a driver's license. And so,
damn,
I didn't get a driver's license until I was 34.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So you were driving around just in your 20s.
I was all to from the age of 16 to 15, I was just like, first car at 15 years old and just started driving. And so I think in that first car, I probably got 50 tickets.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And what were they for? Mainly speeding?
For everything that you can think of, not, turning, no blinkers, expedition of speed, everything, after a time, I think that they just saw me coming in that car and they just pulled me over because they knew I didn't have a driver's license.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this guy, yeah, let's get him.
Easy money, right?
Yeah, easy money.
Did you end up going to jail for any of those?
I ended up going to jail as the time spent up. I ended up going to jail for all that stuff. After a while, it starts building up, and those tickets become like a big old package. And so, at first it was just like, to me, you're out there getting pulled over all the time. It's like just another ticket.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it comes into a big old bundle when you're facing 20, 30, 40 of them. And
right.
I went to jail.
That's how I felt with parking tickets. I'm like, I'm just going to let these pile up.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
I might still have some from Jersey.
Yeah, the fines. The fines, all of a sudden you get hit with these fines, or you go to, somewhere else. I had ones that not only out there in Los Angeles, but in different counties too. And and all of a sudden, it's like, $1,000 or $1,500 ticket or more. You're like, what? How does that happen? And oh yeah, I got that ticket out there, right? Yeah,
but the big thing you got popped for was the stealing motorcycles, right?
I got popped for lots of things, stealing motorcycles, stealing cars, drugs, and that's why another reason why I had so many tickets is because I kept on stealing cars, and I get busted in the car, and then and so it just kept on going on, a big old cycle. Yeah.
What was the mindset behind stealing the car stuff? You just needed money?
Needed money, definitely. So I was into, the Fast and the Furious comes out, and we're getting into all this, the racing car stuff, and my mindset is that I wanted a fast car and I couldn't afford it. So I wanted to steal a car that had all the stuff that I needed, and that, so I can go race it, on Saturday.
Got it. So you were going after nice cars.
I was going to decent ones, not really nice, because, their alarm systems and the stuff they have on those cars are something I couldn't get past, but like on a, on ones you see out there at the races, you be out there at the street races and you see these cars, and you sort of just scope them out and
follow them home,
right? I remember there was one that they left it like it was just on the side of the road, and it was for sale, and just like
after the race.
No, it was just like a random thing that this car was tuned, and it was nice, and I called a guy and met him there, like I was interested, and watched how he, killed the kill switch and all that stuff. And then I went back the next day and took it,
Wow.
So,
so he had a kill switch in there, though.
Yeah, the kill switch.
So how do you combat that if you steal it?
You can't. If you can find it, you can find it. But like a lot of times it's in the common places. Under a bumper and a fender, or something like that. And, so you find it, or you don't. So, it's either you sit there and it turns over and over and over and over and over and over, and you can maybe bypass it down there in ignition or something like that. Or you just, you got to find out, you got to watch the car and find out where the person's hitting the switch at,
Got it.
Yeah.
And what was the technique? You would go at night, break the window open, and then hotwire it?
I would not break a window. I go in there. A lot of times I had shaved keys, or I make keys, and I have a kit. I don't want to be driving a car stolen with a broken window. I try to keep it intact as much as possible. So I do your homework on the car and look it up, and shaved key, filed, shaved, cut intricate, get in there, jiggler, open the door, get inside the ignition. A lot of times I just...
All right, guys, shout out to LinkedIn, today's sponsor. As a B2B marketer, you know how noisy the ad space can be. If your message isn't targeted to the right audience, it just disappears into the noise. Luckily, with LinkedIn ads, you could precisely reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. With LinkedIn's targeting capabilities, you can reach them by job title, industry, company, and more. Stand out with LinkedIn ads and start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. LinkedIn ads allows you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. You'll have direct access and build relationships with decision makers. There's over 1 billion members on their platform, 180 million senior level executives and 10 million C-level executives. You'll be able to drive results with targeting and measurement tools built specifically for B2B. In technology, LinkedIn generated 2 to 5x higher return on ad spend than other social media platforms. You'll work with a partner who respects the B2B world you operate in. 79% of their content marketers said LinkedIn produces the best results for paid media. Me personally, I've found some great podcast guests, and it's been an incredible platform for finding out new information. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/social to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/social. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
Unplug it, and the only thing I would break is I'm so big that I was able to just snap the lock steering on it, and plug it in, and then plug my own ignition in. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you had a system.
Yeah, I had a system. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do those keys still work these days or not?
I don't think so. Nowadays, I don't think. You know what? Possibly, but it's been so long. I mean, 10 years is a long time to. Yeah. Technology and everything's probably advanced so much that it definitely is different.
Yeah. Now I got a Tesla. There's no key.
Yeah.
The key is my phone. So, but even if you steal my phone, you need a PIN.
Yeah.
So you literally can't steal a Tesla.
I mean, nowadays you walk up to your car and the door opens itself.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's probably a lot harder to steal cars these days.
100%.
It still happens, but I feel like most people do it now to sell the parts.
I think nowadays they're just stealing catalytic converters.
Right.
I don't even think they're going after the cars.
No, some guy just died actually in LA.
Oh, really?
Some celebrity, yeah. They were stealing it, and
he's stealing his catalytic converter. The guy from the hospital,
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
how much are those worth? I mean, his life.
His life. I mean, what are you gonna do if someone's stealing your catalytic converter in a car? I mean, if we're gonna rush them, or we're gonna see, hey, that's my car, and it's just unfortunate that happened to that guy, you know. And
just for a few $1,000. Like,
I don't even know if it's a few thousand. Like, I'm thinking it's like hundreds, but I could be wrong,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
all that for hundreds. And it wasn't even his car; it was some girl.
Oh man.
He was just defending her.
Man, that's crazy.
Crazy, man. Yeah, LA, man.
LA, it's crazy. That's how it is out there, right?
Right.
They come packing with guns that they steal your catalytic converters, And you see that with a lot more people out there, and like with teams or with like a group, I was out there like solo bono on it, And nowadays they have people, just. A group of people going around stealing catalytic converters and vans, carrying guns and stuff.
They roll deep now.
Rolling deep.
Yeah. In San Fran,
it's
too.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
It's scary. Like places that we used to go out and park our cars and we think it'd be all safe, and now people are getting killed over some simple stuff, man. And protecting our own stuff. So
you were big in the race scene too.
I loved. I just love cars and and I loved racing. I had a friend of mine that when I was very young, he picked me up. I mean, very young, he picked me up. We go racing all the time. I loved it, and I continued to go to the street races and get in the cars and all that stuff. But I never had a license. I never had a driver's license, And unfortunately, my buddy he got hit by a drunk driver, out there at the street races, and that was hard,
So someone was street racing drunk?
They run rows, so it'd be like five races at a time. You sit there on the side, and then and a guy was drink. I mean, there's always drugs and alcohol involved out there. More alcohol, maybe not a lot, but some drinking going on, and a guy was drinking, and the 5 cars do a shootout, or they shoot down, race after race after race, and then they drive back, and a guy was coming back, and I was talking to my buddy right there, and with another friend of mine, and I'm standing in the dirt, my buddy's standing in the dirt, he's standing on the street, and as he drives back up, like a guy goes to do like fishtails or to
circles,
not donuts, just like sort of just to get on the gas, he loses it, and my friend steps out and sort of does like a 180 turn and got clipped by the car. Broke his neck against broke his neck.
Damn.
A guy crashed at the end of the street. It was a big old it was a big old scene, you know.
Holy
yeah.
Did he recover from that?
He died.
What?
Yeah, he died. Passed away. He died right there on impact.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's traumatic, man.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it was dramatic. It was.
That was the first death you witnessed, huh?
That was the first one, and it really made me not want to drink. Alcohol. It really turned me against all that.
I feel that.
But it was hard, and like it was even harder. Like I was young, and it was like, man, it must have been, 5 or 7, years later. Like I run into his mom, and like in a random place, and I haven't seen her for years, but I used to hang out at his house. We used to, he picked me up from school. He was older than me. He was like an older brother, and yeah.
That's crazy. Did she know what happened?
She knew by what everybody told her, but I mean, it was pretty obvious, car lost control. He stepped out into the street, car lost control, hit him, his head, he died on impact.
Damn, the car must have been going fast then.
It wasn't, I don't even think it was going that fast, dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was, I think it was just some of those things that he got hit, and just the angle of whatever happened sort of.
Yeah, if you land on your head, even if it's like 10, 20 miles an hour, it's probably a lot.
Yeah, if you got hit, I mean, if you land on it, it just breaks your neck or head damage or whatever it is. It was gone,
That's nuts. How did the races work? Like, how do you determine who you go up against and how much money is
the
involved?
races were fun. This is, you go out there, you have a fast car, and everybody knows you're fast because we used to go to the, we race on Friday nights out there at the racetrack. We have to keep our numbers on a car to, or for the legal ones, and then you just know, like, if it's a competitive thing. So if you're out there and you're racing your car, like, you just know which one's fast and which one's not. But the thing is that people get to know that, hey, this races right here and these races right here are the ones that are happening, and so people from like Los Angeles or from other places would come. So like the cops would come and break it up about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and like everybody would disperse. It'd be like at that time early, it'd be like just cars lined up in two different directions, and some people racing, like people trying to show off. But then like the cops would show up and everybody would run away, and then and it seemed like maybe an hour after that, like we go to In-N-Out, we eat a burger or something,
Wow.
And then that was always a spot. And,
it's like Fast and Furious.
Yeah. And then we go back and then people would bring in and it'd be like a late night session, like 11.
You go back?
And we go back like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And it'd be more of the racers and not so much of the people who just wanted to come and hang out,
Wow.
And
that's
so
crazy. Yeah, the cops probably can't get all you guys because there's so many.
I think a lot of times they just don't want us grouping and hanging out because, you get a lot of people in the groups like that. Stuff happens, drunk fights, people, all that stuff you don't want it to happen. So I think the cops just come and try to keep the peace.
Yeah. I feel that.
Keep the peace. And every now and then, I'm going to tell you at those late night races, some of the sheriffs, man, they had some nice cars too, and they bring them out there on the trailer and they race us.
No way.
So yeah, so it was cool.
That's
like,
crazy.
You get people out there bringing their cars and running them. It was good, man.
That's interesting. You been to Speed Vegas out here?
I'm going there today.
Oh, you're definitely gonna set some records. Yeah. You go like 200 miles per hour on that track.
I know. I can't wait.
What's the fastest you've gone?
I've probably done 180.
Damn.
Yeah, I done close to 180. I mean, usually on all that speedometers, they hit like 160 and something, they stop. So you don't know. It's just wrapping around, and so.
My friend Tony Nino, shout out to Tony. He said there's a race across the country. I forget what it's called, but you start in like New York and you go to Cali. The first one there wins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he got arrested though.
Oh, and his car?
Yeah, he was going 180.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I think they took his car and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I need to look up what that race is called because that sounds crazy.
I heard of that race, and it does ring bells, and from New York to L.A. I even think they did a movie.
Yeah.
A couple movies about it and stuff like that. But
it's like 2-3 days.
2-3 days, and night you're driving day and night through every single city, and yeah.
That's nuts, right?
That'd be so fun. I mean, I think that would be so fun, right?
It'd be cool to see who actually makes that one piece.
Yeah, it would be.
I don't think I'd wonder what percentage of people get like arrested or
how many people lose their cars. I wonder how many people actually finish.
Yeah,
and make it all the way through. And like, and what's their speed? Like, are they actually like keeping it 180, or are they actually like doing 150?
Yeah. I mean, when I drove from NJ to LA, we were going like at least 120 the whole way there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so
120
boring.
is accurate.
It's so boring. I mean. Might as well speed.
Yeah.
If you go 60 the whole time, you're gonna take an extra day actually.
Mm-hmm.
So gotta gamble a little bit.
Yeah.
We got pulled over in Cali actually.
Did you?
Yeah. The cop was cracking up because all the trucks were honking as they were passing us, which means that guy's been speeding, I guess. So the cop could not hold it in. He let us go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got lucky.
That's a good thing.
It was a trooper, too.
Oh, trooper?
State troopers don't mess around.
They don't, man. They're real.
In Jersey, I've never gotten out of a state trooper. For real, dude.
I never been pulled over by a state trooper.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah, that's surprising. I never had a face-to-face or anything like that with a state trooper. So
wow.
So I hope I don't.
Yeah.
I hope I don't. Yeah.
It's not worth it, man. So how long did you go to prison for?
I was in prison in and out for at least, I don't know, 13 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you got a big sentence.
In and out, 13 to 15 years. I did a little county time. You know, all those tickets started counting up. Mm-hmm. And all my tickets were counting up, and then I was getting in more trouble, you know, stolen cars, getting caught in stolen cars, and I did a little bit of county time, and then the bigger stuff happened, you know. I mean, drugs and gangs and all this stuff got involved, and I got caught up in this vicious cycle, and for the next 15 years, man, it didn't matter. Like I was in prison. Damn. You know, I was a lot less on the street and a whole bunch in prison, you know, and then by this time too, drugs and alcohol became a necessity, and you know, instead of like something, you know, just to chill back on, like it was something I needed every single day.
Wow.
And so it just like I go in jail. I feel like prison saved me, and I go into prison, and it felt like, you know, like, man, I'm off the streets. I'm safe. You know, I'm getting some, you know, a discipline of getting up and going to work and doing these things in there that I'm not used to on the streets. And then I get on the streets, and it was like all that stuff just left me, you know, and I take a drink, and a drink leads me to a drug. And the next thing I know, I'm stealing cars, and and now it's not even about racing them on the Saturdays. I'm just everywhere I go. It's just like I'm drag racing everywhere, you know? Right. So
damn. So when you were in prison, you were completely sober.
Yes.
And then when you get out, you would.
I immediately right after I get out, I would take it. It was like I would celebrate. Like they would talk about freedom when you get out of prison. Like, oh man, everybody's coming over. Yo, you're getting free tomorrow. You know, that's, you know, I wish, you know, it was happening to me. And then I felt like every time I got out, I was everything but free.
Damn.
Because I had this disease in me, you know, like that was just like neutralized because I got busted, and in my environment it wasn't around. I was able to like self-control, like, you know, you know, and then I get out, and I immediately, like the first day, maybe a day or two before, I start feeling like something like uncomfortable on my insides, because I knew when I got out, I was going to take a drink, no matter how much I thought or how much I was like, you know, it's going to be different. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to do that. I immediately would pick up a drink, man, wow. and that drink would lead me into a drug, and that would lead me to another 10 or 15 more traffic tickets, you know.
Was that because of your environment, the people you were around mainly?
Absolutely. I think that environment, you know, that's all I knew. And so being that life, and everybody I hung out with, that's all they did. They drank and they used, and that's family members, my mom, everybody, like it was there, and they'd be like, oh, you know, that's, you know, maybe they would like try to be a good example, but I would go out and, you know, like I would celebrate, man. I go and grab a 40, or I grab a, you know, just for this 2-hour bus ride, I take a 40, you know, I never arrived home sober on any occasion.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic. In jail, you're actually behaving, and then, you know, when you get out, you're going wild. Yeah,
it's crazy. Like and it's just, I don't know if it's like something like getting out of your environment, or because, you know, here we are, we're in this jail, and everything's so monotone, and like, you know, the times of everything, you know, chow, and whether you're in a lockdown, you're working out in your cell, like you have a little job in there, you know, like you know, you're doing all this stuff, like you got this.
It keeps you busy.
It keeps you busy, you know, and you get out, and like all that's gone, and like you know, and for me, the first thing I did was drink, and then I'd be like, all right, then I'm gonna go check into parole or something like that, and then next thing you know, I'm dirty, and I can't even go do that, you know, and so I'm just off and running and getting busted again.
Yeah. What was that first day like in prison? Did they run your papers and everything?
Oh yeah, first day in prison, man. I was a young kid. It was sort of like I knew that this was going to happen to me. Like I sort of like growing up and everything in my life, hanging out with the people I was hanging out with, and doing the things I do. Like prison was seen in my future, guaranteed to go. Guaranteed, this guy right here is going to go to prison, you know. And so when I arrived in the prison yard, I'll say that my first time even going into the county jail was scary. You know, it was like, you know, I'm a big guy, so like it was cool, but like I was tall, I'm skinny, you know, like you know, I don't know what to expect, and you know, and people test you, man, and I'll say when I arrived on a prison yard, you have this fear in you, because you hear about these stabbings and what you have to do. Like if someone calls you this name or if, you can't be weak.
Right.
You gotta be strong from the start, and so I was strong from the start.
You got in a fight right away?
I didn't get in a fight right away, but I never backed down from no fight or any kind of squabble or anything like that. Like if it was something going to happen, whether it was punching somebody, beating somebody up or doing like that, I immediately I was on it, and so, that just gets, I think that's like your first test is sort of just seeing if you're if you're going to be a person who's willing to back, like if I have a celly or other guys in there and you see a guy and he's not really sticking up for himself, how can I expect this guy to stick up for me? Like if something happens, if we're supposed to be we're cellies, if we're lifelong partners, we're cellies, we gotta have each other's back, know, and if you're not sticking up for yourself, how can I expect you to stick up for me? So you want to know that this guy that you're with is actually down for a cause, and that he's gonna have your back.
Yeah.
And that just really makes then it feels like when you're side by side with your celly or something like that, you really feel a strong connection to where I feel a lot better that I can do the things I do here because I know this guy is watching my back and I'm watching his.
Yeah, that's probably huge in prison to know you have someone that will ride or die with you.
Yeah, ride or die with you, man. That someone's watching my back, dude. 24/7, and that's on the higher levels. That's how it is, man. We're watching over each other, you know.
Were you at a level 4?
I started off on a level 4 yard at the age of 20 years old, and it was man, that was to me it was sort of it was I was waiting for this day,
Wow.
I thought I would get all blasted back with all these tattoos, I thought that the life and the way I grew up in my life I was living, I thought my life was just going to be all prison, I thought I was just waiting to catch more time and to come back, I thought I go in there and people learn a lesson. I'm going there and picking up new friends and new ideas and new recipes to take out into the real world. But I felt that since I couldn't control the drugs and alcohol when I was out there on the streets, and then when I come to jail and my mind was sober and I had this neutrality of that I was a lot sharper of a person, So yeah, I just kept on going with it.
Yeah, we'll dive into the recovery stuff later. That's important. How do they determine what level prison you go to when you get sentenced?
Points about the crime you did. So not only was I stealing cars, I did a great bodily injury on a person, and I stole all these cars, and I had my hands in messing around with methamphetamine and manufacturing it, and so
you were making it
a little bit, yeah, I was making it, I had my hands in it, and then I had an arsenal of weapons, and so all that stuff added up, the stuff that did stick was the weapons and the great bodily injury, what I'm saying, to a person and having a chop shop at my house, yeah. And so, it's better than still, it's a lot of felonies and all ends up. And so it gives you a strike.
So it's like a point system.
And it's all a point system. And then if you get if you're inside there and you get in a fight, there's more points. The more you misbehave in there, the higher your points go. And you go from a double to a single confinement into a hole. You're living in a dog cage, to where you're locked down 23 hours a day. And then that's it. That's your life. 23 hours a day in a 6x8 cell, and you're just learning how to live inside there.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Do you think about if the fight is worth taking or not? Because it'll add a couple months to your sentence or whatever.
Never think about it. You just take it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I never thought about it. I got to a point when you're young and you're in jail like that. You want to fight. You're just I'll do it. I'll do it. And a lot of times when it was a one-on-one, you're checking somebody, you can get away with that. When you're disciplining somebody in there, there's ways that you get away with all that stuff. It's just when a riot breaks out or when it's with another race that it gets a little different. Because then it's they're taking 10 to 15 of us out and 10 to 15 of them out, and they're changing the whole dynamics of the whole thing. Trying to separate everybody. So we're not fighting no more, and so.
How common were those race wars?
The hardest race wars I was in the county jail.
Okay.
And it seemed like the county jail was like your little before you got to the big ship, and the politics inside the county are way just really the fine lines inside there are really, really strong.
Really?
You know, yeah, like it was like, and it was scary. And the thing is, and like the riots and all that stuff inside the county jail, like were way more scarier because there was no control. It felt like there was a lot less control from the sheriff's department would just let you fight, you know, and here. And it seemed like it would go on forever before they came in. Like it'd be like a couple dogs fighting, and you're just letting the dogs just like fight it out a little bit before you can pull them apart, you know, because the energy, you know. And so like we in the county jails, like when you're the dorms would kick off or something like that, man, it was like the scariest thing, man.
Wow.
It was scary, man. Like it'd be like life or death. Like you think, man, like my life and inside some of those county jail riots were like, man, I thought, man, like I seen the horrible stuff go down, and I just to think that could have happened to me, and so it was just like it was a lot more scary in there. And in the prison, it seemed like the reaction would be like, you know, 5 or 10 minutes, you know, but if you're on the yard, within like 2 to 3 minutes of something happening, boom, they put the yard down, and you know, you get back up, and it'd be like for a minute or something like that. And in the county jail, it seemed like it was just like fighting for like 5 minutes straight, you know.
That's a long time.
It's a long time, bro. And it's like gladiators. You got a wall of people on one side and a wall, and it was like just going at it, you know. And it was that's it, man.
How common were weapons in the county one?
Weapons are, you know, you learned that you can make a weapon out of everything, you know, and the I gotta say the way they sculpted and make all those weapons inside there is a level of ingenuity of building and design that like god damn, like
there's videos of it now.
Yeah, like those like prison, like how they, I mean, literally how. I wasn't one of those smart ones that was able to think, you know, this mop bucket handle could be shaved down and tied to a razor handle with some plastic bag, you know, and you know, to make a shank, you know, type things. Like I seen the craziest, you know, the craziest things, man, and turned into, you know, a piece of plastic, you know, just turned into the most worst weapon ever in your life, man, and it blows my mind. And
yeah, that's all it takes to the neck, too.
And that's all it takes, to the neck, to the gut. I mean, 15 times in that. Like, it depends if they want to kill them or they want you to live, you know. And but when you're in a riot like that, it's crazy, you know.
Everything's off the table in situations.
Everything's off the table when it comes out. When you know you get a kite or something like that, and you know at 4 o'clock or on your, you know, at 4 o'clock it's going to start. It's happening. Like you just know, man, and you know that everybody is just coming with whatever they got, you know.
Absolutely. I want to dive into the recovery side of things and also repairing the relationship with your family.
Let's do it, man.
Because that took 20 years, right?
Yeah. Well, due to my addiction and everything that I had going on, that, you know, I had best of both worlds. You know, by the time, you know, I was raised by my mom. Mama's boy at heart, and I stuck with my mom, and my sisters, you know, they were with my dad, and for 17 years, you know, I didn't talk to my dad or my sisters. You know, I see him briefly, once or twice. You know, I get out from that prison term, you know, that I had, and I get out from that prison term I had, and I get a girl pregnant. I have a little girl, you know, and my addiction and disease wouldn't allow me to, you know, I didn't know how to care or love. I didn't know nothing. I was addicted to the streets and the drugs and all that stuff. And I had this little girl, and like I didn't even know how to be a dad. You know, I thought maybe I did, you know, but I didn't. Yeah. You know, and you know, on March, you know, on March 17th of 2013 is the day that is my sobriety date. Nice. And after that, like at this point, I haven't talked to my dad. I had all those tickets. I haven't talked to my dad. I haven't, you know, my mom is one of my best using partners. You know, like it's a tragic life out there. You know, and you know, I remember that after about 6 months of me being in a recovery home, as I had you know, that my mom always pushed me to get a relationship with my dad. You know,
really,
yeah, and you know, but I was too ignorant to even, you know, like no, you know, I was mad at him for things that were imagined. You know, like, you know,
for leaving her.
No, not even leaving her. I was mad over a wheelbarrow. honestly, over a wheelbarrow, man. It was, they said I stole it and I borrowed it, and it caused some ruckus in the family, and they signed me off. I wouldn't change my ways. Is the whole thing, dude. I was a liar, a cheat. I'm a snake, I'm manipulative, and anything that came out of my mouth was a lie, because I write all these letters and while I was locked up about how I was going to change my life, but I would never change my life.
Wow.
And so they just get tired of hearing that sob story all the time. And I don't blame them. I see it from a different perception now. And that line from my dad is at about 8 months or so. I don't know how much time I had, but I was early. It was within a year. And my dad said the first thing I reached out to him. I got a hold of him. He says the first thing I have to do is I have to get rid of all this hate and negativity on my socials. In which I didn't see it at the time, but it was full of nothing but negative and hate.
Wow.
And
so you were hating on him on social media?
Not hating on that like that, just like the people in my circles.
Okay.
And I had to let go of a lot of stuff that I thought was like friendships and relationships, but I did it. I listened, and then there was a visit. My counselor worked out a visit, and I haven't seen my dad, and probably I seen him maybe once, maybe twice. He picked me up from jail one time, and he asked me those questions. He'd be like, what are you going to do with your life? And once again, I'm fresh out of jail, right? And so I'm talking I'm going to get a job, everything's going to be good, Dad. I'm going to come see you. And he's like, can you come over for my birthday's this weekend? Are you able to come by? And I didn't make it, man.
Wow.
He dropped me off. I get drunk, I get loaded, and I wouldn't make it, And my counselor mediated a little thing for us to get together, and my stepmom, he's been married. My dad was married again for like 30 years, and he comes through, and man, I got to tell you, I was sitting in the little room, and I was thinking, all this hatred and all this negativity that was built up inside me that I had towards my father, because I felt like he should have been there in my life, I had all this stuff, all these mixed emotions and stuff were going through, and when my dad walked through that door with my stepmom, man, like I stood up, man. I saw my dad as a whole different man. He was just like, man, he was a lot older,
Wow.
And the only thing I could do is I walked up over to him, man, and I gave him this big old hug, and I just said, Dad, man, and it was a big hug, man, and I said, I love you. He says, I love you too. And I just said, man, from this point on forward, I like to be your son. It's never too late, man, for a son and a dad and a son to start a relationship.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I started a relationship with my dad, and I would just, I showed up when I was supposed to show up. If I told him I was going to do something, I did it. If I was invited somewhere that concerned him, I was there. I go to his house. I didn't have a car. I still, I'm still early in my sobriety. I don't have a car yet, a license yet, or nothing. I'm still taking care of all that stuff, and I just go to his house and I sit there with him and hang out with him. And I remember that I was sitting there one day watching a football game with him, man. And I remember he looked over at me, cause I'm still active in my recovery, and I go to his house and I'm like, Dad, it's fun sitting here with you and all this stuff, but I have to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
And he, and every time, anytime I was there, it didn't matter, holidays or whatever it was, I always I went to a meeting, man. But I'll never forget the day he looked over, man, and he looked over at me and he said, son, man, I want you to know I love you.
Wow.
And there was something that was inside of me that was something that maybe that's the young kid in me, the young boy in me. That's what I wanted to hear, right? So it like filled me up with this joy, man. And I'm gonna tell you, I had the best. I had absolutely the greatest relationship a son can have with his dad, until the moment he passed away.
Wow.
And I love it, man. I'll tell you about that little girl who was born, and who I wasn't even in the hospital. Like when she was born, I'm full on in my disease of addiction, and my disease was calling me as she was being brought into this world, and I took off.
You weren't even there?
I took off. I was there. I took off. I took off. Like the drugs started wearing off. Everything starts wearing off. I'm feeling like I'm not feeling like if I wasn't like up here with drugs and alcohol, like I didn't want to do nothing. Like as soon as that buzz starts to wear off or some level of me, like it starts getting slow. Like, dude, I have to go. I gotta move. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, that little girl, I took her around and I did everything wrong that father should do with the little girl, like as taking her when she was 3, when she was 5. She didn't even know. By the time she was 4 years old and I got out of prison, she didn't even know who I was.
Damn.
You know, I wasn't there. I wasn't around. Like I was there maybe once or twice. Like I saw her maybe once or twice, very briefly at any given time. You know, and this is the hard part, man. This is what's really sad, is that I came in this little girl's life in my disease, man. And I built all that trust back up with her, man. And I told her one day, you know, and I think I'm doing good, but I'm still living that life out there. And I'll never forget, man. And she's like, Dad, you want to watch this movie with me? And I was like, you know what, Dad, will be right back. Man, I didn't come back for years later. I went, I left that night. I got arrested that day. You know, I went, I got arrested, you know, and I didn't see her for years, man.
Jeez.
And
I wonder if she remembers that.
I'm sure she does, man. I'm sure she would remind me, you know. But I'll tell you this, is that you know, at that same time I started building a relationship back up with my dad, that I started building that relationship up with that girl. And all that trust I built up, man. Like, see that I built all that trust up and I broke it, man. And I probably did that 2 or 3 times. And so by the time she's 9 years old, and she probably really needs her dad about this time in her life. And I made sure that when I built it up, I wasn't going to break it. And I showed up and I did everything possible just to be present in her life, you know. And to this day, man, that little girl, man, I'm proud of her in every single way possible, man. She's in college.
Wow.
You know, she's like, you know, we have a relationship. She texted me, you know, this morning before I got here. It was like, you know, Dad, you know, go on there, you know, kill it, you know, like, you know, and I love that, man. And man, it puts me in tears, man.
Dude, that's beautiful. You got me tearing up. For real. This is
I'm
crazy.
tearing over that, dude. Yeah. And man, and she's like my pride and joy, man. Like we started surfing together, like way when she was young, you know, like, you know, new channels of life, you know, new hobbies. And I can't be stealing and racing cars no more, you know, but I got into surfing, and at the same time, my daughter got into surfing. And now like our greatest time is out there just sitting on a surfboard out in the ocean together. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, man, there's lots of stuff that money could take you and buy you, man, but sitting out there in the ocean, whether there's waves or not, with my daughter is one of the greatest things that I could ever ask for, man. And
that's a free thing you could do.
It's free, man. Freedom, dude. Yeah. Doesn't cost a thing, dude. The conversations out there, the life, you know, you sit up, is beyond beyond, man, anything out of this world I ever could have imagined, you know? And I'll talk about that mom is sometimes the ones that we love the most are the ones we have to stay away from. I loved my mom to death. I'm a mama's boy at heart. So all of us gangsters go when we get in trouble. Like she was just like the bread and butter of everything. And I knew every time I got out, man, that and I go live on mom's couch, you know, that I get loaded, you know, or I get drink, or I take a hit of this, or take a hit of that. Yeah. And I had to love her from a distance, for a couple years, man. Yeah. And I remember I had maybe a year or almost 2 in my recovery. I'm out of a treatment center. I'm renting a room. I'm on my own, you know, like I'm spending a lot of time with my dad and with my daughter, and I'm deep down, like I felt like something's missing, man. And what I'm missing is I'm missing that relationship with my mom, you know, because I love her. I know she's still out there in the disease. I know that she ain't right. I know that she, you know, but that's not her problem. Just because I get sober and clean doesn't mean the whole world has to get sober and clean. You know, I got to be strong enough in my own self to be able to be in her presence. And what I did, man, is I got me a little trudging buddy, you know, and I told him the scenario. First of all, I was embarrassed and I was shameful of how my mom was living out there and where she was living and the things she was doing. You know, and I got honest with this friend, and I asked him, man, I was like, hey man, can you just come with me? Because he was like, what's wrong? I was like, man, I want to go see my mom, but I don't want to go by myself. Yeah. And I went out there, and he went with me to go see my mom, and dude, and I built a relationship with my mom. My mom might have been in the I don't know, man, because once I stopped paying attention to all that disease and that way of living, that I just saw my mom as a human being. And I make plans with my mom. I made sure she saw all of her grandkids, her daughter. I take her out to dinner. If I didn't like where she was staying or where she was living or what she was doing, I just pick her up and take her out of that environment, and I go spend time with her. And that's all I did, man. I'll tell you this, man. My mom was in the hospital. She was getting a stent in her heart, man. And I went there to pick her up from the hospital and to bring her home. And I'll never forget, man. And like I brought her grandson with her, my son, and he ran out the room, and I went and chased him. Yeah. And this is where words, man, like words are a lot. Words mean a lot. But I'm gonna tell you, when I grabbed my son and I turned around and looked back, my mom was peeking out the hospital room, the door right there, man. And like it was like in a long time, like our eyes met. And man, I'm gonna tell you, man, like all that. There was no words that you could put in the middle of all that eye contact that she saw her son in a different perspective, man. That maybe she knew at that point that the program is working in my life and that her, she don't have to worry about her son being locked up in prison, in debt, in the paper, or doing all this life, man. But we caught eye contact for the very first time. I didn't make eye contact with many people, a lot of people, anybody when I was out there, man. But I made eye contact that day with my mom, and that love, man, and it was like it filled that void in me that she just knew, man, like her son is in a good spot, man. Wow. And I thought, man, I really thought, what I really thought, man, is like, I thought, man, like they talk about reservations and all this stuff. And I was thinking, man, if something ever happened to my mom, I don't know if I could hold it together, and for many years, and I always, man, I made sure that I was always present with my mom on the holidays, birthdays, Mother's Day, every day I spent, I put the effort in, And when my mom she got sick, man, it was just a phone call one day, man. I get a call from my sister. Mom's not good. She's going to the hospital. And I got to say that, this is what blows my mind is that, I was surrounded by a group of men and I was holding all this in. Yeah. Like I didn't want everybody to be like, oh man, I didn't want all the empathy from all these people around me, like I sort of was just like running with it, I'm on my bike. I got tears coming down my eyes, as I'm riding. I got my helmet on, so I'm shielding. Nobody can really see me. I'm driving from A to B. I'm going to Havasu on my bike or to Laughlin and we stop here and I got a phone call in Victorville or Barstow that, hey, she's going in for a surgery. And by the time I get into to Laughlin and I jump in the water, my mom was it was done. Oh, it was done, man. She was gone, dude. She was gone. It was my sister was telling me and I really felt this, man. There was something, man, like losing your mom. Like I lost my dad 11 months earlier, and now I'm losing my mom. I lost a couple friends. I just went through like some bad relationship stuff, and I really felt like man, like this, what's going on, and man, and through any of that stuff, man, did I feel like taking a drink, hit her face, and putting it to change the way I was feeling, man. Wow. I walked through all those emotions, man. Like, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that like it didn't have a grip on you and like it's pulling you down. Like I just try to self-sacrifice to others, man. I just try to help other people, man. Help other people without telling them about my problems, man. I just try to help other people. It was the only thing that was keeping me alive, man. The only thing that was like helping me not like think about like, oh, I should have did this. I should have done that. I should, all this should have, would have, could have, the only thing that could help me was me just being like, you know what, man, that's it, man. Like I can't take a drink, hit or fix to deal with all this emotions and all this pain. A guy like me, the way I'm not used to emotions. I'm not used to pain. I'm used to a neutral monotone. Like they said, I'm either down or up. Right. And I'm either, and I like to stay up. And they usually down's like a week or two later, like I'm used to staying up, man. And here I am, man. I'm just before my 10 years and I'm sitting there and I can't put nothing in my body to change the way I was feeling, man. And I have to walk through all these emotions. Like I had to be sad. I had to reflect about, man, all the good stuff, man, that went on with my mom's life. Man, I don't know who cares about all that bad stuff. That's how your perception is. Like you gotta figure out, like you can either hold on to all these bad memories and all this stuff that went wrong, or you can just take all that good stuff out, man, and just hold on. And I choose to hang on to all this good stuff that happened between us, man, all the good stuff, man. Like how loving and caring she really was, despite all the stuff that went on, you know, and yeah, man, and just walk through it, man, and it just makes you like a, you know, to this day, I love my mom, man. Still this day.
Beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you were one of the best storytellers I've ever met. You've had me tearing up the past 20 minutes.
Oh my God, man. You have no tissues up here, man. And I don't have nothing to give you.
I've been holding them in,
Your
bro.
guys should have brought you some tissues.
I've been holding them in. Dude, your story's so inspiring. I wonder, like, what percentage of the people you went to prison with recovered and are at your level now?
You know what? This is I love it, man, and it's not about a level. It's either you're on this side. I was full on in when I was out there living the way I was living, and in disease of drug addiction and all that stuff. Like I was fully invested. Like it didn't matter. Like I was fully invested, and I had to fully invest myself into this program. Like there are half measures availed us nothing that got me as a human being to work for me. I'm a true alcoholic, drug addict, you know, anything to be in the moment now, you know, and, man, I fully invested my whole life into this program, man, and every day. And it's not like something that you're like, oh, cool. It's, you know, that's all I can do. It's always, I can always do more.
Yeah. That's a 12-step program.
That 12-step program. Correct.
The AA stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah, it does, man. 100%. Recovery works, dude. You know?
It's beautiful, man. Dude, we got to make a movie for you or something, for real.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I'm going to put you in touch with some producers.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
What else you got going on next, man? Where can people find you?
You can find me on if you're on social media, you can find me, Garet Mclendon, on IG. You know, mindset recovery, man, for the people who are out there who are struggling or need help, man. Reach out to me. Let me know if there's something I can do for you, man. I come from a place like this, and so I sort of, you know, want to bring a place together to help people.
Beautiful.
You know,
yeah,
helping others, man. Help others, man.
That's the goal, man.
Yeah,
we'll link everything below. Thanks for coming on, Garet.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.